Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I draw a realistic nose, and I will demonstrate it from 3 perspectives: 3/4 view, front and side. And I will also list the highlights of this video in the end, so make sure to watch this video to the end. Okay, let's start with the 3/4 view. I will draw a circle first to represent the nose tip, and draw 2 lines up, it's our bridge. And I guess someone would have a difficulty drawing the angle of the bridge, because I did have this problem. Here's a simple tip to help you fix this problem. When drawing the bridge of the nose, don't focus on 3-dimensional. Just imagine that you are drawing 2-dimensional lines, and you can slightly draw a horizontal line to help you to determine the angle of the bridge when you're looking at the reference. After the bridge, I will draw edge of the nose tip and the olive nose. Notice that these 2 parts slightly curving into the nostril, and this is an important step to make your nose more 3-dimensional. Then I will draw some lines on the side part to help me better understand the whole structure. In the end, you can see me draw a rectangle here. This part is actually our cartilage, so we have to make this part lighter when we shade later. So this is the basic nose structure I usually draw when I draw a realistic nose. Now let's move on to the shading part. To be honest, I think that making a good structure is important though, but what actually makes your nose looks realistic is the shading part. I know it's a little bit hard, and this is where most people want to give up. You might have watched tons of nose sketching tutorials, but there are only just a few videos really talk about how to shade every sector to make it more detailed. Trust me, I will try my best to demonstrate and also talk about how to shade a nose to help you to create a realistic nose. First, you just need to slightly add a basic layer of shade and make the darker part a little bit dark. Just keep in mind, never ever focus on a certain part and try to make it so detailed. I know that sometimes we just can't help but immerse in detail in a place, but it would be better to keep every sector in progress when practicing, because this will help you to learn the relationship between different sectors, instead of making every sector very detailed but look strange in overall. Now you can see me erase the lower edge of the nose tip. This is one of the most important part when shading a nose. So why do this? This is because most of the time the light is coming from above. When it radiates on the upper lip, you reflect and make the lower nose tip a little bit lighter. Therefore, we have to keep the lower nose tip lighter. Remember the rectangle that I drew before? Now I'm making the edge of this area darker to highlight the cartilage, and the lights come from the right side, so the left side would be darker. Notice that the edge of the bridge, similar to the 2 lines I drew in the beginning, is the turning point, so we can use an eraser to make it lighter. This will separate the bridge and the side of our nose, and it will look more stereoscopic instead of a flat nose. Now let's shade our olive nose. You can just imagine that you are shading a bean. Because the lights come from the top right, the lower edge of the bean would be darker. And you can also take a closer look at the reference to see whether there is a reflection on the lower edge, just like a nose tip. And the olive nose is slightly protruding from the side, so we have to darken the connecting part. And here comes a small detail. As you can see, I shade in this way instead of this way. Why? That is because this way can highlight the cartilage inside. If we do it this way, it will be strange because it looks sunken. In this part, I will show you how to shade a smile line. Smile line doesn't exist beside every nose, so we don't have to draw them every time. But I still want to share with you how I shade this part, and I hope this will help you when you find out that your smile line in your reference. It is definitely not just drawing a line beside the nose, like a deep scratch. What we have to do is to understand the structure first. If we take a closer look, it would be like this. This part would be the darkest part, and the second would be its shade below. So we have to darken this part and gradually move outside, and the outside part will be lighter. It's very important to draw the shaded part because this is one of the factors to make your nose much more realistic. Just like what I said in my previous video, a realistic drawing contains lots of information. Studying and drawing these details is actually adding more information to it. Hope you guys will understand what I'm talking about and can also practice on paper. Now I want to add more thickness to the olive nose, so I slightly shade the left side of olive. Let's return to the nose tip. I want to make it more three-dimensional, so you can see that I'm adding more shade on the nose tip and also keeping the lower part lighter. Now I'm just adding some simple shade, and be noticed that the top of the bridge is usually thinner. When shading a nostril, I usually darken the upper part instead of drawing all of it. I think that someone wonder why we don't darken the lower part. That is because our nasal cavity is going up instead of going down, so the upper part will be darker. In the final, I would add some skin texture to make it more real. And it's done. Hope you guys can really understand what I'm explaining, and it would be better for you to find a reference and practice on the paper. Don't worry to write down all I just said. I will put a highlights list at the end of this video, but make sure to keep practicing these tips until you can naturally accomplish them every time you draw. I will also demonstrate two perspectives, but most of the tips are the same, so I will just talk about some highlights. Now I'm drawing the front view. I usually draw two ovals on the nose tip. These two parts would be darker because they are facing down. And notice that the lower edge of the LS is curving into a nostril, so don't draw them like this. Last one is side view. To be more simple, you can just draw two circles and then draw two lines tapered to the right, and this will be the olive nose. Here's a good example to explain the reflection on the lower edge of L. This part is all in shadow though. As you can see, I'm still trying to make the lower part lighter, and so does the nose tip. Let's take a closer look. So this is how to draw a nose. Hope you guys will like it, and the next time I'll talk about how to draw realistic lips. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon. If you have any question or think some part that I didn't explain very clearly, please comment below. And I will try to make another video to talk about it. The list is at the end of this video. You can screenshot it, and I hope this video can really help you. See you next time.